Divas, girly pops. Are you guys on the same internet as I am? The Chikorita hate is feeling a little bit forced. For people who don't know, Chikorita was just recently revealed to be one of the starters in Pokemon Legends. I know it's Pokemon Legends ZA, but around here we say Legends. It just rolls off the tongue a little bit more. And for some reason, Chikorita got very much targeted and a whole smear campaign was put against her. I was really confused because it's like a lot of people love Chikorita. And just because you don't doesn't mean she doesn't deserve that spot. So I'm gonna take a little bit of time to break this down because I believe that the girly pop icon status of Chikorita is lost on some people. So let's contextualize, honey.
Completely not ever been done before.
I've always seen Generation 2 as an attempt to make the franchise more horizontal. I go more manically in depth on this theory in my Johto League analysis, but TLDR, it's like broadening the vision. Let's be real. The sudden crazy success of Generation 1 took the world by surprise, including the developers. And I believe that Generation 2, as well as that one demo era they had, shows that the developers were taking this generation as an opportunity to show what they can do, to show how big Pokemon can be and how diverse the world can be. Our good sis Chikorita is one of those very apparent examples. It's always, well, she came after Bulbasaur. How do you follow up the icon that is Bulbasaur? Chikorita. When you compare their final evolutions, Meganium to Venusaur, they contrast so heavily that it almost feels like an intentional juxtaposition. The choices the artist makes on how they lock eyes with the audience, their posture, and even the flora they feature are contrasting. They're mirroring each other. Both of these Pokemon's uniqueness is enhanced with how different yet familiar these two divas seem to be. Venusaur is this big, bumpy, sturdy frog with that very hardy tropical tree on its back. Meganium is also very grandiose, but she's a little bit more delicate and soft about it, more eleganza about it. Instead of a bumpy, frumpy frog, she's this long-necked Brachiosaurus reference. And I've always seen Brachiosauruses as having the connotation of being gentle giants. She's giving the gentle creature, if you get what I'm saying. I know that the way that I described Venusaur might make people think that I'm being a hater. I'm not. Venusaur has had many, many moments to shine. But the reason why I'm making this video, I'm sure you guys can tell by what's been featured so far, is that the recent reveal of Chikorita has had a lot of detractors coming for her throat, and it's she has just as much to offer as Venusaur, but look at the material. She's never gotten a chance. I don't know why, because she's very iconic. Chikorita, for some reason, tends to be the odd one out, and it's more so apparent when you look at the Generation 1 and 2 starters all lined up together. I actually think this is really clever when you look at it this way, and I think it's one of the reasons why so many people subconsciously gravitate directly to her, and so many people are subconsciously averse to her at the same time. I mean, just looking at this lineup makes you believe that there's a real concerted effort to set her apart. When you mix in the fact that people call her one of the weakest starters, it just becomes this dogpile effect, and then people just start hating on her without even having their own valid opinions that they've constructed themselves. It's just well, everybody hates on her, so I hate her too. Why? She's pretty. From the beginning, I feel like Pokemon has always tried to use their decks to attract so many different demographics. I mean, look at me and then look at some of the other creators on this platform, and you tell me that this community is homogenous. I mean, it's homo something, but
category is Kawaii
Or die.
the 90s/2000s anime eyes sitting on an onion dog? Camp. The high ponytail featured in 2 stages to then evolve into a pigtail antenna moment. Not only did she invent hairography, but she also birthed Ariana Grande.
Right, I got my half up, half down. Did it give Ariane?
Her representation in the manga and the anime
Lipstick, blush, panties, lipstick, diamonds, cards, cotton candy.
And just her whole look and silhouette making her look like this squishy, cute baby.
Love it.
Chikorita is like using her femme, cute, kawaii realness to carve out her own little space. And frankly, we didn't get this type of like blunt representation until like Generation 6 when the fairy type was introduced. So yes, we have to hold on to divas like this very, very close. And yes, we're very excited to see her featured in Legenza. This is her spotlight. She's about to enter her winning season. Now that I've touched on that cuteness, let me go back to that cleverness in her design, because I think it takes a lot of skill and technique to make her look this way while also keeping her very familiar. She manages to have this like cutesy girly effect that invites girly pops into her camp, but she still looks very reminiscent of all of the designed themes that are featured in the other starters. Like you have like dinosaurs and frogs and amphibians and reptiles and stuff like that. Like she's still a dinosaur, but she's like, she just looks like the diva of the 6. And I always think about Pokemon in different generations. Like Generation 1 and 2 feel very similar to me because it's like Gen 1 and then Generation 2 kind of expanded on the series. Generation 3 feels like its own space because it was like Pokemon Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald sitting on the Game Boy Advance, and then we got a remake. And then in the DS era, we got like Diamond and Pearl, Black and White. Those feel grouped together to me, so on and so forth. For some reason, the first 6 of Generation 1 and 2 feel like a unit, but even when you take it apart from Generation 1, she still stands alone while still staying very familiar within it. Like she's not like just some girl sitting there who like has no through line design concept. She still understands the assignment. I want to talk about her methods of reheating her nachos, because nobody's going to be reheating Chikorita's nachos other than her. She's made that quite obvious with how she debuted and gagged the entire world, frankly. Is it a microwave? Is it an air fry? Is it the oven? Because this is like a really interesting conversation, and let me tell you why. Stay with me, okay? Clefable has always felt like the fairy type before the fairy type came out, right? So when Generation 6 came out and Clefable became a fairy type, it just felt natural. On that thought, Generation 6 managed to seamlessly introduce many girly pops into the canon. Keyword seamlessly. Attributing a type to the girly pop aesthetic, because let's be real, the fairy type is the girly pop type. Attributing a type to the aesthetic helps to validate it in the space, in the community, and with the fans. It's like a spoonful of sugar to help the medicine of girly popology go down. In other words, an aesthetic like this can often be met with hostility, especially in video games. I mean, look at how Chikorita got treated, but giving the connoisseurs of girly pops their own battle concept, their own meta contribution, like seeing things like Fairy Wind and Draining Kiss and all these cutesy things have like strength in the space and have their own specific type, it makes it harder for people to invalidate it. The developers said, yes, there's girly pop Pokemon and they're quite strong, and they also have a type that they tend to be in. Now, you know, there's all types of different girly pops. I mean, we've gone through that on my page, but the fairy type is like a very strong girly pop concept. Now, I could be wrong, and I hope I'm not. Like, we could all be wrong, but if Chikorita does get that secondary fairy typing in a new form or a mega evolution, could it be safe to assume that the fairy type might become this vehicle to elevate the pioneers, to elevate the older girly pops out of obscurity? Mega evolutions are a great opportunity to rewrite the narrative, and the fairy type is a really fun way to make that narrative girly pop. Time will tell. I feel like the Chikorita hate was very forced, and honestly, the moment people started putting those posts out to try to make the Chikorita fans mad, the Chikorita fans went ahead, I feel like, and just swamped the narrative with nothing but love. Chikorita has her place here, and I'm very excited to see her in Pokemon Legenza. And even if she doesn't get that secondary fairy typing, I am here to support her along the way. This is going to be so fun for us. I'm really excited to see what all 3 of them end up doing, but I was so excited to see Chikorita. I'm so happy to see her, and I'm just putting out more love for my girl to hopefully manifest that secondary fairy typing, because if she takes it there, oh my god, it's gonna be so iconic for us. Like, put it in the history books. Whatever you guys are up to, I hope it goes by super swell. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope to see you next time. Bye.
Thank you, guys. I will never be able to repay you for the kindness you've shown me in here. Besties for life, I say.
You're in the new game.
Later, losers.